Perfect. All right.
Got it.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I am the Vice President of Economic Development for the Durham Chamber. This is my fourth week here, so bear with me as I get everything started today. We're really excited to kick off the Small Business Series with China Carter from RDU Small Business Services. This is presented by Triangle Media Partners, a parent company of Durham Magazine and Triangle Digital Partners. Really excited to have you all here today and excited for the conversation. I'm going to let Chris Elkins give a word of warning, word of welcome, and then introduce China Carter for us.
Hi, I'm Chris Elkins. I'm Vice President of Triangle Media Partners. And as Matt said, we publish Durham Magazine, and we also publish Deepak Playbill, as well as we have a digital division. We are a proud sponsor of this small business series because our company is all about small and medium-sized businesses. And so I just want to extend a warm welcome to you all. Glad that you're here. And I will turn it over to China and let her begin our program. And welcome. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen because I do have a brief presentation. And Matt, am I displaying?
You good?
All right. So welcome, everybody. My name is China Carter. I am the Director of Small Business Programs here at the Raleigh-Durham Airport. And I'm super excited to be doing this because what I do love is to talk to businesses, large and small, about how to be engaged with the Raleigh-Durham Airport. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to go through several slides to talk about our small business programs here at RDU, to give a little information about how to register as an interested vendor, and then provide some resources. If I understand it correctly, these resources in this presentation will be available to people at the end of the presentation through the Durham Chamber. So no need to take a whole bunch of notes because you will have all of this information later. So for the Raleigh-Durham Airport, we have 3 programs under the Small Business Program umbrella: the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, and the Minority and Woman-Owned Small Business Program. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them. All of them are for small businesses. So small as being defined by the SBA. And they are designed to make sure that we are including minority and women-owned businesses that are small in all of the things that we're doing. We're trying to remove the barriers for small businesses to compete with us, and to basically level the playing field, help them to engage with us. Again, all the businesses have to be small. That's a thing, but there's a little bit of a variance in the programs. So I'll talk about that. Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. This is our federal program. It's required by the U.S. Department of Transportation because we receive federal grants. And essentially, anytime we receive a federal grant, it attaches this program to it. We have to set a goal for the participation of what is known as disadvantaged businesses, but for the purposes of general conversation, those are just minority and women-owned businesses that are owned by socially and economically disadvantaged people. So essentially, there's a limit to the personal net worth of a person, and they need to be minority. And of course, the business needs to be small. So that's what the federal government calls disadvantaged. Anytime we're including any federal dollars, automatically our DBE program kicks in. DBE certified firms come from our DOT. So if you're interested in being DBE certified, you go through the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Since it is a federal program, you get certified in your state, and then you can take your certification to other states. Every state has the same DBE program, but it has to start in your own state. So Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Businesses Program. Everything I said about DBE applies to concessions. So let me tell you what a concession is. When you're in our terminals, you see our shops, our restaurants, our shoe shines, our vending machines. You see our rental car agencies, the advertising, everything that you see that is a service to the passengers. That is what we consider to be a concession. anyone providing services to our concessionaires. So if you are providing goods or you're providing some kind of service delivery of some sort to our concessionaires, that's a concession. And essentially anything that you guys can see when you're traveling through the terminal is probably a concession. So when we're trying to include small, minority, and women-owned businesses in our activities, we do it in concessions too. So we're looking for small, minority, and women-owned businesses to operate those businesses, to operate the restaurants, the shoe shines, all the good things that you guys see in the terminal. So that's our ACDBE program. For ACDBE, unlike DBE, we handle that here at the airport. So we do certification for firms here at the airport if they're interested in being ACDBE, but only if they're interested in operating here. Every other airport in the state goes through DOT. We do that for ourselves because we want to verify the businesses that are going to be operating here in the Raleigh-Durham Airport. So if you are interested in ACDBE, you would contact our small business office. If you're interested in ACDBE and you want to do business here, you contact us. If you want to do business at Charlotte or Greensboro or Wilmington or any of the other airports, you go to DOT. The final program is what you can consider the everything else program. So it's not federally funded, it's not concessions, it's everything else. So our board of directors authorized what we call our minority and women-owned small business program. And in that program, we have two separate goals as opposed to the one goal for the federal. And we have a minority goal and a woman goal. We apply a minority goal and a woman goal to everything we do. Goods, the purchase of goods, the purchase of services, construction, development activities. So we have out parcels that we're developing. We have minority and women-owned goals on all of the things that we do, whether they're federally assisted or not. If they're not, they fall under our MWSB program. And the good thing about MWSB is that we accept all types of certifications to be certified under MWSB. So if you're already DBE or ACDBE, then you're automatically in our minority and women-owned. If you're SBA 8A, you're automatically. If you've been certified by the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, or what we know as WeBank, you're automatically included in minority and women. All you have to do is send us a letter from your certification letter from any of those agencies, and we'll put you in our directory. We also accept other certifications like the State Hub Office or Carolina Minority Supplier Development Council, CVMSDC. There are other certifications that don't verify business size. We have to verify that you're a small business. So there's some forms you have to fill out, but we accept a lot of certifications because the bulk of what we do falls under our MWSB program. And then this is the part where I kind of talk about where you'd fall in. If you're a concessionaire or want to operate in the terminal or provide a service to someone in the terminal or provide goods to someone in the terminal, or to our rental car agencies, you would be a concession. So you would need the ACDBE certification. If you are interested in doing construction, then you would need DBE and or MWSB. And then if you wanted to provide goods and services to RDU, any types of goods and services, anything you could possibly think of, you would need the MWSB. Matt, I can't remember whether we're taking questions at the end. How is that going? Oh, I think you're muted.
You can take them whenever, whichever, however you'd like.
Okay. Well, I will keep going for just a moment. For vendors that are interested in doing business with us, we have an online system, and it's basically an interested vendor form that's online, goes into a directory for us to be able to know what type of business you do, whether you're a minority or woman or not, just to let us know who you are. And our interested vendor registration is on our website, rdu.com/MWSB directory. We'll get you there. And it says vendor registration. Again, this is interested vendors, whether you're minority or woman or not, can go to this and just let us know you're interested in doing business. It's also the place where if you're a minority or woman, you'll get certified, but that's a whole nother presentation. Interested vendor registration is free, and it's a way for our internal staff to be aware of vendors. So that is the long website for it. Again, you don't have to take these notes because you will get the presentation, but it's rdu.com/MWSB directory will get you there. How to find opportunities with RDU. So first is to register as an interested vendor. Again, our internal staff is looking at that directory to find people that are small, minority, women, and other, just to find out who's interested. But we also have a business page, an opportunity business page, and we will list all of our formal opportunities there. Informal opportunities are opportunities where our staff is just looking to get quotes or want to find out what type of work a business does, and they're going to go to the interested vendor. But if it's a formal opportunity, we're doing a whole solicitation for it, then it'll be on our business opportunities page. I always encourage people to check the business opportunities page frequently, because whether or not there's something on there for you, we are having pre-bid meetings, we are having pre-proposal meetings. This is an opportunity for you to find out what types of things we buy. It's also an opportunity for you to find out who was awarded contracts. You can ask who got the previous contract. You can ask for all kinds of information about the last time we bid a particular service so that you'll be ready for the next time. Pre-bids and pre-proposal meetings are an opportunity to meet our staff. They're also an opportunity to meet people that are interested in doing business with us and finding partners. Then of course you would need to bid with us. We have these bids on our site, and we are looking for people to submit proposals. And the more times you submit, the easier it gets, the better you'll become at proposing with us. And if you submit a proposal and you're not successful, you have the opportunity to request a debrief, which is invaluable, right? Because, I would love to say that everyone gets an opportunity, but we typically don't choose more than one at any given proposal. But you would want to know what you did well and not so well so that you can do better the next time. Our contracts range in time periods. They can go from a year to 7 years. Whenever it comes back up again, you want to be ready for the next time. So if you propose with us, then you can request a debrief. And here are some other random things that I wanted to share about proposing and doing business with RDU. The first is about appropriate business opportunities. We get a lot of unsolicited interests, things that we don't buy, things that we don't use. That helps us know what's out in the marketplace, and it's not a bad thing. But you should also be looking for the things that we do sell, the things that we are buying, the things that we are looking for, because you can craft your business. You can meet us where we are at proposing to us. So check the business opportunities page so that you can find those opportunities that are appropriate for you. And if they're not appropriate for you, don't bid. If it's not your type of work, if it's not your cup of tea, don't bid. You want to put your best foot forward when you propose. Our business opportunity page is a good place to look to see who bid previously. Maybe you want to be in a partnership with them. Maybe you want to meet them. It's a good place for networking. I wanted to mention proposal quality. Again, putting your best foot forward, making your best first impression is going to be the way to go, because first impressions matter. And typically your proposal is the first time we've ever heard of your firm. A thing that may be different about RDU or working at RDU, either as a service provider, as a concessionaire, or even a construction person, maybe, we have security because, TSA, it's a thing. And so you have to be badged to work here. And there's a cost associated with it that the businesses have to bear. That is something to consider when you're putting in proposals with us, or when you're advising people on how to do business with us. You got to consider what the cost of security is and include that. Commissary, I will not begin to explain this, but you can't deliver food to the terminal. It's not okay. We have to have secure food, all of the food that's delivered, all of the things that are delivered cannot be delivered by UPS truck. So we have a commissary, a place where your food, your deliveries will go before it can be sent into the terminal. That's a cost. So if you're looking for the concessions opportunities, you have to consider that cost, because you have to pay that in addition to whatever else you're paying. And then employee parking. There's a cost associated with that. And again, it's something to consider when you're proposing with us. And we are a small but mighty team of 2. So we don't take a lot of individual meetings. What we do is engage with our community in opportunities like this, give us a chance to meet vendors and learn a little bit about the business community. So to that end, we are having a contractor training series for the next 3 months to get ready for some federally assisted contracts that we have coming up with Balfour Beatty. And there's a link for registration for that. We are having a rental car supplier diversity day. And that is, as I mentioned, rental car is a concessions. It's a service for our passengers. So they have goals on their contracts with us. We want to help them meet those goals. So we're going to kind of facilitate an outreach day where they can meet small businesses and tell them what types of things rental cars buy, et cetera, et cetera. So we're having rental car outreach day on April 27th. And then I put a list of different agencies that help small businesses in the airport space. Airport Minority Advisory Council, AMAC, is a national organization that helps small businesses when they're trying to get business with airports. National Institute of Minority Economic Development is located in Durham, and they are not specific to airports, but they are specific to small minority and women-owned businesses. And then Airports Council International, North America, because the international one is the world one. We are the North American one. They are another nationwide trade group that is focused on aviation. So then I made a list of all the things that I have said and where you can find information about our programs, past outreach. So this presentation will be on our website, and past presentations that we've done will be on our website. The interested vendor registration, all kinds of good stuff that you will get in the presentation. And that's it for me. I am willing to take questions.
There were a lot of acronyms.
There were a lot of acronyms.
And I'm struggling. Like,
okay, that's fair. That's
okay.
That's fair.
Is there a way to have some kind of a glossary with that?
So I would say when the participants receive the presentation, they're in the presentation. So disadvantaged business enterprise, DBE, is probably our favorite one because it's our federal one. Airport concessions, disadvantaged business enterprise. So ACDBE is the same program, but for concessions. Minority and women-owned small business, MWSB, that's the one that covers anything that's non-federal. So ACDBE, DBE, and MWSB, those are the 3 main ones. And then because we like acronyms, I probably said NCDOT, which is North Carolina Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
They do certification for us. So I'm trying to think of other ones. We do love a good acronym in the aviation space. We can't possibly say the whole word. It would just take too long.
I think just looking over the presentation, I probably will bring it to life again, but it was, yeah.
It was a lot of letters.
Yeah. Can you give us examples of some, like you were talking about some, like the rental car space or concessions. Can you give us some examples of some that have been awarded and what they do? Is there any services, or is it all kind of, obviously in my space, I'm advertising, but like, would somebody like me register with you as well, since we're advertising it would be advertising for you within the area? Is
right.
that
is a great question, because I completely overlooked it and need to add it to my slideshow.
Oh,
so yes, that's a good question. So what I have told people a million times is we are a small town. So if you can think of anything that a small town might buy, we have a fire and rescue department here. We have a law enforcement department here. We have a marketing and communications department here. We have community and community affairs here. We have, I'm leaving off all of maintenance and operations, and for, pushing concessions to the side and construction to the side. So when you talk about advertising, we have a whole I don't know if you've noticed, but Triangle Takeoff was a coalition of local businesses that kind of helped us get back on our feet after COVID. We did an advertising campaign locally and nationally to encourage people to fly again. So we hired marketing companies, advertising companies, media buying companies, graphic designers, pretty much anything in the advertising space we did with that. And when you said, what are the things? We have a company for everything, I promise you. Like there's literally nothing we haven't done, right? So marketing, janitorial, someone is in charge of parking, like someone handles our parking. I've heard tale of, this is not a thing that's here now, but some airports have valet services. Our public affairs people have a communications consultant. We have consultants for IT. We have consultants for security. So essentially anything that you can buy, any service that you can have, we have a need for it in one way or another. Now, at one point, someone wanted to sell flowers in the terminal, like literally like set up a table. We don't really do that. Like that's not a thing for us, but most other things are a thing for us. There's a vending machine package. And when I say package, what I mean is we're not a one-off kind of organization. So when we do a concessions solicitation for something that's going to be in the terminal, it'll be a package of 3 or 4 shops or 3 or 4 restaurants or 10 or more vending machines. And we call them packages because they might be in different locations, they may be in different terminals, but they'll be packaged together as one solicitation. So that's when being partnered with people really helps, particularly for our small businesses. Our packages tend to be very large, but that's not a real word. I was going to say they're breakdownable, but they're breakdownable. And so we get a lot of participation by minority and women-owned businesses because there's different services within those different solicitations. For example, one of our biggest things that we do is landscaping and janitorial. Well, one of our terminals is done by a small business, the whole terminal. And while you may be too small to do a whole airport, you can certainly do one terminal or one shift of terminals of the terminal. So there are ways that we break down our packages and our opportunities so that small businesses can partner and compete. And I really do encourage small businesses to get together because you have more leverage, you have more capacity when you do that, particularly when you're dealing with a bear like the Raleigh-Durham Airport.
Good
That was an
advice.
awesome question.
Good advice. So you would recommend everybody on the call should register then, right? That's kind of the message that I'm hearing, like do it, because I may not think my business would have a way to participate. There could be a way.
There could be a way. And I don't know of all the things that we do. That is not my job. There are much smarter people in charge of that. So if you're registered, you'll get notifications from us. You can determine whether or not there's a space for you. And if you're unsure, you can attend the pre-proposal meetings or the pre-bid meetings to kind of hear about the opportunities. I didn't realize all of the different ways our construction jobs get done. But one of the things is that sometimes they have someone to help people get badged. Badging is a federal process. You need someone maybe to expedite or help your employees get badged. Who would think that was a service? It is. It is. So there's an opportunity. You might have to make it up, but there's an opportunity in there somewhere.
Good to know. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm looking through the presentation to make sure I haven't said any more acronyms. Oh, I know one I didn't say that I should have said. RFP, request for proposals, or ITB, invitation to bid. These are the ways that we send out formal solicitations. So we're asking for people to come back to us and give us, sometimes they do requests for quotes. We have lots of things we like to call them, but essentially we're asking for people to put in proposals or quotes with us. If you see those come across, check them out, even if you don't think they're for you, because you'll learn how to fill them out. So when there's something for you, you'll have an opportunity to do that then. I think I'm done with acronyms, I think.
Does anyone else have any questions for China? I'm curious if you can give any insight. You guys have done a great job in bringing local restaurants and others to your terminals. Are there any insight into how you're able to accomplish that?
So I will say we have a very visionary team. And in years past, what would happen would be large conglomerate international companies would come into town, find local brands, and partner with them to bring those brands to the airport. Lately, we have opened up our packaging or opened up our process so that small businesses, local businesses can have direct contracts with us. And so we'll open it up and we'll do a solicitation, a request for proposals, and different operators have been coming to us and proposing their brands to us. Now, as I mentioned before, you have to partner because it's not like we're going to ask for one restaurant. We're going to ask for 6 at a time. So you're going to have to get a whole bunch of business partners together because we want to have obviously different brands and different tastes. And we're going to offer a request for proposals and you're going to return to us with your best proposals. I will say it is a tasty process because we're going to ask them to come in and let us sample the food, tell us about how they operate, tell us about, and that we are big on having what we're calling local flavor. So it doesn't have to be a local business, but just giving you a sense that you're in North Carolina, giving you a sense that you're in the Triangle is a big deal when we're soliciting for concessions and things like that. So one of the things that I'm super proud about is we have a store called Root and Branch, and it is 2 local businesses and a larger business. But they were based in downtown Wilmington and downtown Raleigh. And I don't want to mess up the name, so I'm not going to try to call what they are, but it's 2 local Raleigh and Wilmington based businesses that basically opened up a gift shop. And it is the most phenomenal store, but it's because it has that local North Carolina quirkiness to it. So our staff, our concessions team specifically, is pretty intentional about making sure that whoever comes here is giving us North Carolina flavor in all types of ways. We have a WRAL store that made me very happy. Did that answer that question?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah.
Yep. So I think the next thing you'll see, we have, sometimes we have people from out of state partner with our local chefs. So we have some exciting things coming with local chefs here in the next year or so.
I'll look forward to seeing what those are.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. That's all I've got.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, I had one question that came through to me, China, that I thought was really interesting. I noticed last time I was in the airport, you've got new food lockers to pick up from. Can you explain how that came to be?
Sure. So again, with the visionary people and wanting to try something new, we had post-COVID, we had a lot of trouble getting staff back. Our concessionaires could not get people back to work for various reasons. And so staffing has been, and you might have come through the terminal and seen places closed. It's because staffing is an issue. So some of our team had heard that there were, I don't know how it's called, ghost kitchens. Essentially, small businesses get together, they have a massive kitchen, but they are just selling to-go boxes, essentially, to-go orders. They're not a full restaurant. They have their little area in the ghost kitchen. And we wanted to know if that could work in the airport. So our team went out and kind of sourced a quote unquote vending machine. So behind, it's called the Reef Kitchen. Behind it, it's a big pink wall, but behind that wall is a full kitchen. And the different brands that you see listed, and I'm not going to try to name them because I'll leave somebody off and then I'll be in big trouble. But if you go to our website, the brands are listed. There's a kitchen back there, but it's not it doesn't require full staff. There's no serving, there's no orders. You use your phone or the little app that comes when you scan the QR code. You place your order, You get a little ticket number. It tells you what locker to go to. You come in and you pull your food out. Someone made it. It's somebody, there's little people in the kitchen, but they don't have to serve you. They don't have to clean up after you. It's a kind of a self-serve thing. And from my understanding, it's gone really well. And it keeps us from having to, or our brands from having to have as much labor, because that's just been a really big issue. Even after COVID, we just haven't been able to get back to, while flying has gone back to almost pre-pandemic levels, staffing has not. So that's one way that we are seeking to make sure there's food in the terminal when you come through. Another way is we are expanding what we call grab and go. So where you can take the food and pay for it, definitely pay for it, and then go so that someone doesn't have to serve you just to get something quick. Because again, the labor is a problem. So that was our vending machine thing.
I can't wait to try it next time I'm there.
I tried it when it opened and it was very tasty. I gotta say, I must say my job is pretty tasty. Full of good food.
Oh, I see one hand up.
Hi there.
yeah.
It's Janine. It's a lot of N's. Hi, I joined a little late. I apologize. I had a work conflict, but I'm excited about this. I'm a small business owner of a curated gift box company called City Box, currently focused on Durham. It's all Durham-based items, mostly small businesses and entrepreneurs. So a lot of little, craft makers and stuff, but some big ones too, like Bright Black and Big Spoon Roasters and those kinds of guys. So my question is really about, to me, this feels like a natural fit for something that's locally based as a gift at the airport. What opportunities might there be for retail at the airport that might not be an entire space?
That's a good question. So, and it's not on my slideshow. I really got to update this slideshow. So, so typically when we have a retail option space, our operators themselves will go source the types of things that are in their space. And so for people who don't want to necessarily open a whole space, we connect you to our retailers because they select, for the most part, what goes in their space. So for you, I would say the connection is to, we have 3 operators here, 3 retail operators, to connect with those operators and basically let them know what it is that you provide. That would be part 1, because obviously all of our spaces are leased right this moment. But part 2 is to look out for the next time we do a solicitation for retail. And it might say retail, it might say news and gifts. But when you see that, you would participate in the pre-proposals and come to the meetings so that you could meet the operators. Because if you're not interested in operating your own shop or don't want a whole space, connecting with the operators is the way to make them aware of what you're providing.
That's super helpful. Is there a specific way that you'd like for folks to reach out to them? So it's not just a cold call. Is there like
so one more thing that's not on my slideshow. I would say that we could make an introduction for you. Just so on our website, we have a list of all of the operators, but we can make an introduction just to let them know that who you are and that you've been interested.
Oh,
and my email is smallbusiness@rdu.com. And that's also not on the slideshow.
I used to be a reporter, so don't feel bad.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Because I thought I was pretty thorough, but I don't know what I've done here.
No, this is great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the feedback.
Absolutely. Matt, and hi, Angelique.
Hi, Chane. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I missed the first portion of it. And so I'm sure any questions that I would have probably already been answered. But I know that we were talking about the great opportunities that are at RDU, and you all are one of our partners that we look forward to working with always, and how we can, the economic development around that, which is important to Matt, of course, and our small businesses and how they can participate in that economic mobility that's happening over there in your department, which is why it was so important for us to have you in this small business session. Hey, Chris, thank you, of course, again for sponsoring. But I just want to make sure that we leave our participants, and I know we still have some time left, but with some next steps, contact information, any links, anything that is available, and how they can take advantage of all of the great things that are happening at RDU.
Absolutely. So I have a presentation and I will forward that on, and the links to all of the things, except all of the things that came up later, are in it. My email address is smallbusiness@rdu.com, and our small but mighty team will respond to those inquiries. And of course, the links, one of the most important links is the business opportunities page. Well, now I got to think about this. Maybe the business opportunities page is not the most important. Maybe the most important link is the interested vendor page, because that is the page where we will know about you as a business. And again, we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but concessions, if you're selling retail or your food or beverage operator, or if you think you could provide a service to our retail, then you are a concessionaire. So you want to, when you're doing your interested vendor registration, make sure that you're noting that you're either in retail or food and beverage or whatever that is. So yes, I think I've decided the interested vendor registration is the most important link. It's official. And the email address is in the chat. Thank you, Christy.
It's official.
It's
So
official.
so I see up here, there are some of our other partners up here with Discover Durham and Downtown Durham Inc. And I see Durham County is up here. Man, we have some great partners in how this is going to affect our citizens, our region, our, in the triangle as a whole. So, and again, I've probably missed a lot of this, but can you talk about, and this isn't necessarily in your wheelhouse maybe, but any new flights that are happening and how it can affect the business community here in Durham?
So you are completely out of my wheelhouse, but you may have seen that Avelo Airlines, which is a small airline, I think it's Florida based, has just expanded their footprint here in RDU. Breeze Airline, I don't want to say when they started, but they are a recent addition to our footprint. And I mentioned before you got on the phone that we are a small town. And so our partners buying, the things that we do are anything that a small town would do if a small town could fly airplanes. So I encourage people to be imaginative about who they're selling to. It may come as a surprise, but the airport authority is only 300 or 400 people strong. So of all the things that you see here happening at the airport, most of them are not done by the Raleigh-Durham Airport. Most of them are done by our airline partners or our parking partners or our construction partners or our rental car partners or FedEx, UPS, so I could go on and on about the partners that we have here, but they are also looking for goods and services. So when you're talking about economic development, I specifically am focused on the things that the Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority is purchasing, but the economic impact, and there was a whole study done about this, but the economic impact is not based on what the airport authority is buying per se. It's based on the ripple effect of all of our partners and everybody else. So I get, this is a random aside, I get a lot of phone calls that say, I want to deliver luggage for the airlines. What do I do? And my answer is, I have no idea. I literally do not know what to tell you, because you would need to go to every airline, right? Like you'd have to go to every airline and ask them what their process is. And it's kind of the same thing for a lot of our business partners. We are not involved in as much as you think we're involved in. So the airlines operations, now they have their own procurement departments. They are buying things, they are hiring people, they are making changes in their operations too. I certainly make a connection. I'm being a little facetious here. I do make connections. I will not just throw you to the wind, but I will connect you to our airline partners. But essentially, a lot of the things that I'm speaking about are things that RDU AA are doing. A lot of the things you see in this area and on our campus is not an RDU AA initiative, which is kind of cool. Except construction, all that's us. We are building everything. We're tearing up the roads and the buildings, and that's what we like to do here because we're building infrastructure for the future.
That's awesome. I mean, I would never have known that had you not said that. I would have thought that your team, you know, runs all of that, you and all of your colleagues over there. As you know, Mike Languth is on our board. So we, you know, we work very closely with you all in terms of that. But that is in case you didn't know,
In case you didn't know, right? Fun fact.
know.
We are not in charge of as much as you think we're in charge of. If you think of us as a landlord, we are, if you think of us as a big mall, there's a lot of ways to think of us, but we are essentially a landlord, a big mall. And we bring shops and restaurants in, we build the infrastructure, we maintain the infrastructure. But a lot of what's happening is by our business partners. We're just making sure it goes right.
That's amazing. Did you talk about, I'm sure you did, your MWBE minority participation numbers, anything like that, that any goals that you all have, being that most of these entities on here are women-owned or small businesses? I do see one of our nonprofit partners on and wonder how that would impact for example, the Boys and Girls Club that's online.
So Angelique comes at the last minute with all these hard questions. I don't know what that's about, but it's fine. So I didn't talk about the goals. I did talk about how we try to include minority and women-owned business, but obviously what you measure is what you care about. So we have goals for the participation of minorities and women. So what that is if it's a concessions, one of the terminal concessions or the operators in the terminal, it's a percentage of the revenue that's generated. At RDU, roughly 30% of the revenue generated by our concessionaires is generated by a minority or woman-owned small business. So terminals, shops, restaurants, rental cars, all of that, roughly 30% of it is operated or generated by a minority and women-owned business. When we're talking about what we're buying, so our construction, our goods, our services, even our development activities out on general aviation, we measure that as a percentage of what we're spending. And that number varies. So in, let's say, landscaping, roughly 15% of what we're spending in landscaping is with a small minority or woman-owned business. Yes. In construction, it's more like 30% in that area. So it really depends on the type of work we're talking about. I know I have marketing and advertising in the space, that's somewhere around 12% is around minority and women-owned business. But for every contract we put out, we set goals. And then for the proposers, when they're coming back to us and telling us, you know, how wonderful their business is, one of the things they have to tell us is how much minority and women-owned participation is in your contract. Personally, I love it when it's 100%. Just love to see a small business win, but that's not always possible. In that case, we're looking for the percentage that we set and what that meaningful role is that small business is going to do in that contract. So we're not just looking for the number, we're looking for what that person is doing or what that business is contributing, because that's as important to us as anything else. Did that answer the question, ma'am?
I believe that it did. Thank you so much. But I was like, man, she probably already covered it. But I know that's something that's important coming out of your office, particularly about the MWBE numbers and what's important to our communities, particularly Durham, and how we are elevating and putting our minority-owned and women-owned businesses in spaces to be able to participate in these types of opportunities that's happening in our area. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I appreciate you putting that out there. I will say, since Mike is on your board, our MWSB program is not mandated by the federal government. It's not mandated by the state. Our board actually put that in place. And that is a direct reflection of the fact that we are owned. The Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority is owned by the city of Raleigh, the city of Durham, the county of Wake, and the county of Durham. And the owners decided that minority and women-owned small business was a something that they wanted to focus on, and they've been doing that since the 80s. So this is not a new thing for us, but our numbers are getting better, and I am proud to say that our numbers are getting. I mean, we feel like we're a leader in that space because our board has put that as an initiative that they want to focus on. So while the feds have their rules and the state has their rules, RDU as a board and as authority has what they've decided is a priority.
Love it. I see Matt in his, his office is behind me, and I see him moving and doing some other things. Then he has some great light. I'm happy
He
to go
does
in
have
Matt's
great light.
office. That's some good natural light coming in through his windows. I do have one other question.
See?
Don't hurt me. And it only came to mind because I see Anna up here with Discover Durham. I wonder how the airport works with like the visitors bureaus and things like that in terms of, when people come here, they're going probably to Raleigh or Durham or Wake or Durham counties, more than likely. And how the airport helps those counties to connect with people that are coming in terms of, things to do, places to stay. Those, I haven't been in the airport in some time. So just wondering how you work with the different counties on that.
Again, with the hard questions. So we have a community and community affairs department that kind of handles connection to the Durham Chamber, the Raleigh Chamber, the economic development agencies in the area. So there's kind of the global level of it. And then of course we have our information desks in the terminal where if you're just coming in, you don't know where to go, that's a thing too. I think strategically, our community affairs is who handles our connection, making sure that we are supporting the CVBs and make sure that we are encouraging the economic development and all the connections. They're in charge of all of the connections. But obviously when you're in the terminal, you don't care about that. You just want to know how to get a taxi. We have our information desks for that. And they have all those brochures that the CVBs put out, but also, and it's not just Durham and Raleigh, I don't believe. I believe it's the whole triangle because we are for everybody. We are a triangle. It's in our logo. So,
Hey, Angelique, I can touch on that really quick as well. I'm Anna Fior, Director of Sales and Partnerships, and you are correct, Angelique. We actually have a great relationship. I assume it's with the department that you're referencing. I work closely with Tara at RDU, and so we have come in to offer Destination Durham presentations to the ambassadors, the lovely volunteers that y'all have in the airport, and actually just got off the phone with Tara this morning because we were working on a familiarization tour of Durham to bring the ambassadors into the community. We've also worked with her to set up signage so that when we do know that we have a conference coming in with a lot of attendees that are flying, we can get some fun signage to make sure they feel welcome. But a little bit more related to the work that you do, Ms. Carter, in terms of first, I love all of the intention, and I love seeing the representation. One of our close partners, BU, has representation in the new virtual reef spots. So it's great to see local business. And I think that having a presence at an airport is something that still feels very unattainable for small, historically underutilized businesses. And so love to see all of this effort to get out there and make sure that the opportunity is available and communicated. On that note, how do you, aside from this is a really great example of kind of reaching some of the business owners. What are other ways that you may partner or work with entities like us at Discover Durham to identify business owners that you may want to more proactively go after to ensure that they're aware? As you know, one of the challenges in the frame of DEI, the equity point of sometimes needing to go that extra mile to make sure that these business owners know that this is really a space for them. So what are some ways that we might be able to support your work in identifying partners that could be, at the point of their growth where they're ready to have this kind of conversation, just making sure that we're engaged the way that we can be to support your mission?
That's a really good question. First, I need to correct something I said. Community affairs handles CVB and all of that, but the department you're working with is guest relations, and they are the person, the group that makes everything comfortable in our terminals. So strategically, it would be community affairs, but on the ground, the people you're dealing with are our guest relations, our ambassadors, our volunteers. We have a phenomenal group down there, so I just want to make sure they got their shout out. So to what you just said, when we are about to release a package of restaurants, or even we just did it not that long ago for engineers and architects, we have what we call business opportunity meetings. And the last time, which was pre-COVID, that we had one for concessions, shops and restaurants, we made a list of our business partners and sent our business partners the announcement for our business opportunity meeting. So our business opportunity meetings are before the solicitation is released, before you have to get your partnerships together. It's just an opportunity to come and learn how we do business. And in my presentation, this actual link is there. There's a presentation about how to do business with RDU, and we maintain a list of all those presentations. So you'll have that list. But our business opportunity workshops are those chances for any business, but particularly for our small minority and women-owned businesses, to connect before the opportunity actually happens. And I know we did it before COVID, but I need to get your contact info so that I can be a little more intentional about making sure that you're aware of those. We advertise. Anyone who's been certified by any agency will have gotten an email. And I guess that's kind of the point, right? Making sure that people are aware that certification has other benefits. And one of those benefits is that you get the emails about this thing is going to happen. You need to come to this meeting. And I remember this so vividly because it was before COVID. We had one of these business opportunity workshops at RTP, and I was on Twitter and I added BU. Like, I had never heard of them before, but I knew they were minority owned and small, and I sent them a tweet, and he came, and that was kind of the beginning of him knowing that we existed. And it was just exceedingly random. I would prefer not to be that random. So let's connect and make sure that when we have those meetings, you're aware.
That sounds great. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for the presentation today. Really easy kind of question here at the end that I think you might be able to either respond to directly or point me to someone on your team. I'm with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Durham and Orange Counties, a proud member of the Greater Durham Chamber of Commerce, and really just interested in the power of partnership and how that's working for RDU with our nonprofit community. If there's any pointers, relatively new to my role, but really believe in that, that spirit of partnership just with community organizations like ours. So if there's anything you can tell me, I'm all ears right at the end of our Q&A time.
Absolutely. So I got this one right. Community and community affairs is who I would point you to. So if you'll send me an email at smallbusiness@rdu.com, I will connect you to our community and community affairs group. And that would be the person, those would be the people that would know what to do with that.
So appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
See, look at that. You had more information than you thought that you had. You are ready to rock and roll, as is our custom. We really try to keep this within a tight hour because we, first of all, are so appreciative of everyone who has taken this time out to invest in your business, and which means that you're investing in Durham and in our region. We are always grateful to have these types of opportunities with our partners like RDU AA, which I just learned today, RDU AA, and our good friend Chane Carter over there, and all of the great work that you're doing. And, shout out to Patrick Hanna, the chair of your board over there, and Tammy Hall, who now works with Durham County. So, she's ours now. We've claimed her. She's ours. That's also on your board. But we certainly always want to take the time to say thank you to our sponsors. And that's Chris with the Triangle Media Partners. Chris, I want to give you an opportunity just to say some final words before we close it out.
Well, I just thank you to the Durham Chamber for bringing this opportunity. I mean, I knew nothing about it, so I've learned a tremendous amount. So I really appreciate the Chamber connecting us and giving us opportunities for, growth. So thank you to the Chamber. It's another reason why we love sponsoring this event. So very informative, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Chris. Any final words from you, Matt, who is our newest team member? Just wanted to give you an opportunity to say anything. Matt kicked this off for me because I had a conflict. So anything from you, Matt?
No, Angelique, it was a pleasure to get to be a part of this group. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I do love brevity. So, Shanae, anything from you, your office, before we close out?
Just to say thank you for the opportunity. And I'm super excited that I'm going to make some connections from this, because what we really want to do is let people know about the opportunities and be aware of what we're doing, to open opportunity to all of our people, right? Everyone. So thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. China is also my sorority sister, but we'll talk about that another time.
Talk about that later.
But I want to just say thank you to everyone for joining. If there are no objections, I'm happy to send the registration list over to Chane for her to reach out to you, for you to have everyone's information, and then you can connect that way. And we'll
That's
also
perfect.
send out, we'll send out any slides and anything that Chane gives to us at the end. But thank you all so much for joining. We have our annual meeting this Wednesday, March the 22nd at the Carolina Theater. Again, one of our sponsors is RDU and Triangle Media Partners, of course, Duke University. Thank you all for those sponsorships, but we look forward to seeing you at our next small business series, as the third Wednesday of the month in April. I don't know that exact date, but it is the third Wednesday from 12 until 1. But reach out to us, connect with us. We look forward to seeing you all around Durham. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye.